Hi everyone and welcome to another episode by Poor Man Gamer. Today I believe is episode 5 or 6 of Try Your Deck Thursdays, and it's pretty exciting because we've got two people who are ranked higher than me on the ladder. First we're going to go through a couple matches by Demon and RT. So Demon, I really appreciate you saving it in your favorites. You guys are active on the Discord channel that we have, so y'all check out the Discord below in the description if you want to join. A lot of cool people there. Well, I'm just gonna take a look at your loss here, and then what we're going to do is break down your play. I did look at this video earlier on, and I'll be honest with you, Demon, it's not so much the deck itself. I think it's more of your overly aggressive style of play, and you're gonna quickly see what I mean. So I do see that you open off with a missile squad. You know, lots of people do that. Nothing cool so far. So I'm not sure why here, for example, you would engage a rifleman. You don't gain any advantage whatsoever for engaging him. And now that you roll out a shockwave, which is a counter against him, rather than backing off your shockwave, you decide to engage his harvester, and you're not going to do any damage on him, obviously, right? So now you've got a shockwave out there. You do notice a double harvester. The shockwave isn't contributing anything, and you quickly put yourself in a hole, right? And in terms of a playstyle, that's not very good. You're also now running in two different directions at once. You typically want to try to keep your army together where possible, right? So that you have an advantage. Like your missile squad just ran all the way around a circle, and then you just dedicated your shockwave, you ran it all the way across the map just to run it all the way back. Really not to have much of an advantage. And now you charged him up only for him to get first fire advantage on you, right? So now you don't actually win this matchup despite your Colonel charge up. The opponent rolls out a Hammerhead, and rolling out the Pippo obviously is a smart move, but look at his economy on the bottom there. He's got a huge economic advantage over you now because he didn't really need to build anything, right? And so he's able to beat you with a lot lower level deck because while you are playing the right matchup, right, and you're able to get this first missile, the opponent here does have a significant economic advantage on you because you've built a lot of units where you don't need to. This is what I mean, like, if you're going to play aggressive, why not attack the harvester that's already been damaged, right? And so I think these are little things here and there that you could improve on. It's not so much the deck itself. I think it's just your general play style is it's not focused, right? You need better focus. Like right now you're rolling out a Mohawk. Let's think, for example, why are you rolling out Mohawk? Do you see something where the Mohawk would give you an advantage? So my biggest advice to you, Demon, is to actually play with more patience. Right, now that you've rolled out two Mohawks, you should be using it to pressure his Harvester or his Juggernaut. But your second Mohawk is sitting there, your Pippo is just sitting there, your missile isn't going up. If you're not gaining a strategic advantage by stalling out the missile, because you're not the one here with the double Harvester. Again, you roll out with a Mohawk, but you're not using it to engage his Juggernaut, and now you're just kind of dead in the water, right? And you're gonna see that this quickly becomes a theme. Like, why not roll your Mohawk to the top and try to engage him, right? So by now, I mean, and you also haven't really built a Harvester. Of course, by this stage of the game, he's already got like 3 Zone Troopers out there. We're just gonna roll on very quickly. There's not much you can do at this stage of the game to recover, right? Because you just kind of stalled yourself out. Not that you're a bad player. I think you just kind of got a little frozen there. Right? So now what I'm going to do is show you a replay in terms of what I mean by patience by using your deck. So we're going to go ahead and open it up here. The first opponent's a little bit better as compared to the second deck. As you can see here, I use the same deck as you. There's nothing really too special about it. Right? It's really more your overly aggressive nature. And you're going to see here how I actually did not play as well as I could have either, right, in terms of managing my units. So I do the same as you. I open with a missile squad. Right? I open. I do see his war dogs on the top. The reason I'm being patient is because I just want to see what he's going to roll out. Why build anything extra unless you know what the opponent's going to do? Right? Building an extra unit now doesn't really give me much of an advantage. Does he have a double harvester? No. Okay, well let's play to my advantage here. And this is what I mean by patience. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Pitbull to wipe out his War Dogs. I'm gonna use my Shockwave to counter his. I'm gonna keep backing off my Missile Squad. Why am I losing it for no apparent reason? Right? So I'm gonna go ahead and engage my Pitbull once again to attack him. I realize at this stage of the game that my Missile Squad doesn't really offer me much of an advantage. It's not a unit I really need right now, so I open my Shockwave on the top. Now I charge it up because I had the advantage and I need to win that matchup. I'm trying my best right now to body block him. I got there a little late with my Shockwave. The reason I roll out with a tank is because it's a lot stronger than a Pitbull. I don't want to blindly engage him, so I'm just being patient here. I do notice he's only got one Harvester this whole time. I'm using my Shockwave to try to body block him, right? Unfortunately, my Shockwave wasn't as quick as his charged up tank. But look what happens here. Right, and this is where it gets interesting. I don't need two units standing on one tile, so I'm actually going to go push forward with my Pred tank to try to pressure his Harvester. And at the same time, I'm using my Shockwave and my Pitbull and my Missile Squad now to engage his Pred tank. I'm just playing everything to my advantage on the bottom left. I am engaging his Harvester. I am preventing him from harvesting, as you can see here, right? And because of that little song and dance by playing the right matchup, bang, down he goes. I'm using my Shockwave. I didn't pay attention to what my Shockwave did. I should have used it to engage his Missile Squad, but I was able to delay him harvesting. I open with my Pitbull. I'm engaging his Talon now to try to get the win, right? Again, it's just a matchup. And like I said, I kind of spaced out a little bit. I should have moved my Missile Squad away and moved my Pitbull up, but still pressuring his Harvester, right? Just doing what I'm supposed to do, right? See that Pitbull down there? Really bad micro, what not to do. So I opened a Shockwave, I've got my Predator tank, and in terms of an economic advantage, as you can see, I've got tons of money. I haven't rolled out any air units yet because all he's rolled out so far is Pitbulls. So rolling out air units wouldn't serve me any advantage whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead now and try to pressure his Harvester even more, right? I go ahead and roll up my Talon finally because it gives me a matchup advantage. I know I'm not going to win this missile, right? I didn't even try to win this missile because bad timing, right? Or spaced out, really. So I roll up my other Talon, again, matchup advantage, right? You see that? So I finally go, you know what, I'm going to take this guy a little more seriously. I really don't want to lose this. I'm going to park my Mohawk there. See that? Instead of charging blindly my Mohawk up, I'm just going to park it there so I can actually do damage. Because the Mohawk, you have to move into position to cause any damage. I go ahead and set my Pitbull up. I roll my Mohawk down because I see his Pred tank is coming, and I roll my Shockwave. Mohawk against Pred tank, Shockwave against Missile Squad, bang, 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 bang. Wipe out his unit very, very quickly. Right, by this stage of the game, what I should have done was move my Harvester up towards one of the tiles so that I can pressure his base now, right? I move my weaker Mohawk back because it's not going to do me much good. I do see a bunch of Talons out there. That's just why I roll another Pitbull. I go ahead and let him destroy my Mohawk because I don't really need it anymore, right? I'm on 2 tile. He's standing on 1, right? If I need to, I can push my Pitbull up. Game's going to be over. So, yeah, that's the best advice I can give you, Demon. Just be a little bit more patient with your units and try to mix it up a little better. I'm not going to show you the second game because there honestly wasn't much to watch. The guy wasn't very good, right? Not much for any of us to gain from it. So, Demon, I hope that helps you out, right? Play your matchups, buddy. Just be a little more patient. If you're going to pressure the enemy Harvester, do it wisely. Send a whole bunch of units and keep them together. Alright, so we're gonna go do a double feature for Try Your Deck Thursdays. We're gonna check our R Long Gaming RT, really long name. I'm gonna check out his favorites. I noticed that he has a maxed out level 11 Orca. Orca Bomber. I have a level 5 Orca Bomber, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this video. Yeah, so I do notice a couple of flaws off your deck right away. It's very imbalanced. So you open with a Missile Squad, but if the opponent opens something like that, say a Rifleman, you're pretty much dead in the water, right? Which is exactly what happens here. It's very fortunate that I didn't pressure you any harder. You're gonna lose your Missile Squad, and the only true counter you have is by opening an air deck. So this is where I would say the Talon probably isn't the best way to counter all infantry. Because if they had a Pitbull or anything like that, the opponent, they could easily counter your Talon, right? So that's the first thing I noticed. The deck is imbalanced. And the second thing is, you roll your Hammerhead, which is great, but why would you roll it so that you engage the opponent 2-on-1 with you having a disadvantage? You walk right into that one, and even though you are able to get this first missile, right, it was kind of a waste, right? And you're gonna see here, like, you allow him to roll out his Zone Troopers. So I do see the Orca Bomber. It's a very powerful unit, but you know, the only reason you were able to take him out is because you got level 11s, buddy, and that's super, super strong. So what I would recommend you to do is maybe switch up the deck a little bit. You also rolled up a double harvester now, which is kind of an interesting strategy. With Hammerheads and with your Orca Bomber, you're going to be starving for resources, right? You can't engage the enemy frequently. And because you have no counter against infantry, right? Like Orca Bomber is not a true infantry counter, this match ends up getting very interesting. So remember that the center tile for the Orca Bomber is what does the most damage. The rest of it is splash. So if you're going to try to kill the enemy Harvester, try your best to fly overhead directly on top of the Orca Bomber, on top of the enemy, rather than just flying around like that. Right? Because dropping the bomb right on top is what's going to cause you most damage, and you do a great job there with your Zone Trooper. Yeah, so here I believe you were able to stall up the missile, but I think you end up losing it because his Zone Trooper was able to bust his way in. He pays patiently by going around, so you charge up your Orca Bomber, not a bad move, but notice how you're not really doing much damage against his Harvester, right? Because when you fire around them, it's not as strong as firing right on top of them. So sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. Try to be consistent is what I would recommend here. I do like the way that you are persistent with your double harvester, and that you're using your economic advantage to the best of your abilities. And again, use your Orca Bomber. You're trying to take out his economy. Very smart move because he's using Zone Troopers, right? So why not? Orca Bombers are not very good against the enemy base. Parking it there is probably not the best way. The smartest strategy would have been to retreat. And, you know, that Hammerhead right now, not a bad idea to keep it there, but you could easily engage his Talons right now. He's standing right there, but your Hammerhead is just standing there, again, not doing much of anything. Orca Bombers are pretty weak against an enemy base. So we're going to speed this up here, and you're going to quickly see that this match devolves into something very close. But I wouldn't say that there's much of a strategy, so to say. It's just you have really strong units and you overpowered him. Use that to your advantage. I'm going to see if I can find a way to use your deck. So we're going to pause the video here for one quick second. I was able to get some clan members to help me out in a pinch here, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the Orca Bomber deck. So I'm going to go use the one that RY. Shoot, I forgot your name because I had to play matches in between. I think it's RT. I'm sorry, bro. I think it's RT. I'm going to do what you did. Start off with a Harvester, right? And not much really happens. I'm actually going to open with an air deck with a Talon in this case. And the reason is because you don't have any good anti-infantry, right? So most people roll out infantry, whatever it is they're rolling out, the Talon tends to be a good counter against them. I am not going to engage him whatsoever right now because it serves me no purpose. I'm just going to stall the missile until I roll the Orca Bomber. What I do now is I just bomb the Oblivion. Oblivion. There you go. And as you can see, that is the main drawback of the Orca Bomber. It really doesn't offer much value when it's not firing. And even when it is, as you can see there, I charged it up, I tried to run it across. Running head first into the enemy fire is typically not a great strategy. And really, that's what the Orca Bomber requires. It's not a unit you can retreat, it's a unit you can only use in isolation. And so it's a very highly specialized unit. Where I see the Orca Bomber being very useful is allowing you to hold the missile tower near the end of the game, right? So if you have some kind of Orca Bomber and, I don't know, some kind of anti-air unit, then it holds the missile very, very well. So as you can see here, I'm trying my best to use the Orca Bomber, but I'm also getting my own Harvester pressured, and see, look, when it's not firing, it doesn't really do much. You really need two Orca Bombers. were to do a significant damage, right, on the enemy. So I'm going to use the Orca Bomber as best as I can here. I'm focusing on trying to blow up his Harvester. Look at how long that freaking takes, right? A Orca itself, the original one, or even a Mohawk, I think would be a better replacement. The only good thing about the Orca Bomber is a very specialized unit where it's good at clearing out missile tiles. Launch pads, I should say. So if you see the enemy with lots of camping on the launch pad, like you see right there, with the Wolverines, it's not a bad idea to have 2 Orca Bombers go there and just kind of try to wipe them out like you see here. But I also noticed that they delay a little bit. They take a little bit to fire. So, and each blast doesn't do as much damage as I hope it would, right? So there are definite drawbacks in this deck. Like, I'm not sure how else I could have really used this Orca Bomber differently. Like, notice how they wait, the gates open, there's a hesitation, and then they start bombing away. So you have to even consider the amount of lag that's going to happen after the Orca Bomber opens up. I don't know why I built a Hammerhead. My Talon could have easily taken it out. And look, here comes the Orca Bomber again. Right, look, boom, it opens up, it sees the enemy, and then it fires after. It takes a little bit to charge up. And I struggle using that unit, honestly. I think it's so restricted in what it can do. So watch, there's the Orca Bomber trying to take out the Wolverine. And this is the only time in the game where I find it helpful. Near the end of the game, the enemy doesn't know you have an Orca Bomber, you want to surprise him, and then you basically just camp on top of the missile tile to get the win. So, and most people should be able to take out your air units fairly quickly. I mean, Pitbulls, Hammerheads, Banshees, it doesn't really matter what it is. So I'm going to go ahead now and play the, watch a second match. And the only thing I changed about your deck is I actually took out the Hammerhead because the Hammerhead doesn't serve as much purpose for me in this deck. You have a Pitbull and you have your Missile Squad already as an anti-air, and you have your Talon. You don't need a third one. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to open with a Missile Squad. Not much happens. I want to see if I can get to the Harvester. Nope, couldn't get to the Harvester. So I roll my Shockwave, right, to counter him. And then I do see that he's got his own Shockwaves. I'm just trying my best to play the right matchup here. So I roll up the Talon to do some chip damage against him. You know, there is a drawback on the Talon, which is it doesn't kill infantry very quickly, right? But it is a strong unit, and I like it, right, because of its versatility. I like it better than Venom anyway. I'm going to go ahead and try to win this missile, and then I immediately push backwards here and try to protect my Harvester. As you can see, I don't do a very good job. I don't know why everything was just kind of standing still. And now I'm letting his Pitbulls pressure me really, really well, right? And here's another situation where if I had an Orca Bomber, it really wouldn't help me because I'm going to blow my own Harvester. And so I'm forced to roll out ground units. And I'm sure there's a better way of using the Orca Bomber. I'm just not very good at using it. I'm trying to protect my Harvester. Unfortunately, I lose it. I give him a bit of an economic advantage. And you know, no harm, no foul, really. There's nothing in his deck that's super overpowering in a sense. I'm trying to put my best against matchups is what I emphasize in this video. So as you can see, Talon on Shockwaves. I'm using Shockwaves on Pitbulls, right, where he's not getting much of an advantage. My Pret Tank isn't really doing much of anything. So, you know, my Talon does go ahead and takes care of that without spending much of my economy. I am trying my best there to roll the Orca Bomber. There it is. And here's the surprise. Right? This is where it does come in handy. You're just clearing a whole field of units. But here's the problem. What do I do with it now, right? I gotta run away. And so it's just kind of standing there. I finally have it charged up, and I can finally roll it back. And its uses, I find, are limited. It's not to say it's bad. It just is limited. And look, I still can't take out his Harvester until now. And then so it's a very micro-intense unit as well. So unless you're a pro player or you're really paying attention to what you're doing, notice how my Orca Bomber, I constantly have to pay attention to where it is, what it's doing, right, or else it dies. So I don't pay attention there for a split second, it dies. It's a fragile unit. It's got a lot of health, but it's fragile in the sense that it can't really punch back in a lot of situations. Right? And so, it's not that I hate the Orca Bomber, I think it can be a very powerful unit in the right hands. My hands aren't the right ones, right? Once again, I am trying to pressure his Harvester. I haven't built an Orca Bomber yet because the missile is still a far way off. I really love the way he opened on Lieutenant Strong Arm there, blocking my tank from moving down. Right, that was actually a genius move. I like that. Right, I finally bust on my Orca Bomber. When you have units within your own tiles, they tend to die too. Orca Bombers are phenomenally strong against infantry, but really not much else. And so the reason I pressured his Harvester the whole time is because I do notice that he's just spamming a ton of units, and I figured he's got to be running out of money by now. So this is where the Orca Bomber is at his best. Right, the missile is coming to an end. You just need to hold it, and all he has is mostly ground units to counter you. And so I've got my Orca Bomber standing on the missile pad, and that's how you get the win. So if there's one recommendation I would make to you, since you got level 11 Orca Bombers, don't roll it out like a carpet bomb. Try to use it more strategically as the missile's coming to an end. If you see a lot of ground units RT, that's when I would roll out your Orca Bomber. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a wonderful day. Take care.